welcome back to the channel. I'm Stasia Bliss, and we are continuing the discussion about divine union. And I thought I might give you a little background on me and why I can talk about this, or what is my deal. I will begin by sharing that in my natal chart, that my sun sits at 29 degrees Sagittarius on the galactic center in my relationship house, in my 7th house. So a higher perspective on relationship, a more cosmic perspective on relationship, you might say, has been like a driving force in my life, and probably the journey that I've been on the most intensely. And so I guess that's probably why I have got to experience a myriad of relationships in my life. And actually for that, I'm super grateful, and I honor each one of those individuals who I've got the great honor to connect with and to explore relationship dynamics and to explore layers of love. I'm super honored, I'm super grateful. And yeah, like, relationships are multi-textual, so they have the good and the bad. You know, there's never a relationship that was just bad. You know, if you didn't get anything out of it at all, you know, like, you wouldn't have gotten in it, right? So there's always something that a relationship will offer, and if we can begin to, I hate the word mine in this case, because, but it is in a way that you're mining in the relationship. Like, sure, we want the treasures to all be just laid out on the surface for the taking and to be obvious, right? But I think that's why there are, you know, desire and attraction and, you know, mutual resonance points. Those are things that on the outer layer tell us that there's something on the deeper level, like if you're willing to go there, right? And sometimes we just want the surface attraction, and we're foregoing the deeper connection out of fear of all that it takes to get there. Let's just put it that way. All that it takes to get there, to mine the relationship field and kind of go through the processes and the day-to-day, and like confronting the various issues. And of course, in the confrontation of the issues, you get to see like how many connecting points there actually are. And that's the true judge if a relationship is going to be a divine union, or if it's what I'd like to call another initiatory phase in the maturation of relationship. Doesn't mean it doesn't have value, just like all your teachers in school held value in the learning process. But when there's just like, there's disharmony after disharmony, right? Things that are misfires, and you're just overlooking them for the benefit of the love and the relationship and whatever. But those are actually showing like all the wound points that are being surfaced in that relationship. And like, that's great. Like, there's gratitude for that. I just got like this weird buzz in my ear when I said that. So there is value to it, but the pain that it can create through that interaction, you know, this is where we look at the love, and we look at like, how deeply can I love in front of this person, like being witnessed by this person. How much can I love and show vulnerability? And that means sitting in our pain sometimes and like facing it together. So I did some study in this with my alchemy teacher, Almeen, and we worked with a device called the Key Vesta. That's a Lemurian device that came through her, and it consists of 144 sacred wheels, which are various different concepts in this idea of unity in the oneness field, different concepts. And so I went through an initiatory phase with this schooling and the question I posed to it to understand more deeply was sacred relationship, divine union. And so every day for 60 days, I engaged with this 144 card concepts in various formulas, in like all these different alchemical formulas together. And that really like changed me deeply. And yeah, so I wrote this book, The Alchemy of Relationship. I mentioned it last time. Transmuting the dross of human tendencies into the goal of divine union with your beloved. Sounds great, right? Who doesn't want to transmute the dross of our human tendencies into gold, the gold of divine expression? So then you might flip it into this book and it might seem a little confusing if you just picked it up yourself. I try to explain it a little bit at the beginning, and I'm giving an example of what alchemical sequencing is, and this is working on us on a deeper consciousness level. It's not just 3D, though it will affect your physical body. So this is like a sequenced alchemical formula to read through the book. But we're just gonna, I'll tell you more about it the more we talk about this. But, and it talks about the process. And this is something put down by my teacher, Almin. And so I sort of like utilizing her wisdom in putting this book together with her permission. So she explains this alchemical process in this way. She says, the first section, which is the first cards, brings the reader to 0 point, or the practitioner to 0 point, from which all creation stems, so you can clear the slate and offer a new opportunity. So the first chapters of this book and of this process, and even with each other, is to be able to come to 0 point, to clear the slate of previous thoughts and becomings and come to it anew. Okay, and that's maybe the hardest thing, and it's probably why I do all the like emotion code and work that I do on the subconscious mind, because I recognized that was my biggest obstacle, is I was always approaching from all these old beliefs and all these old habits and all these old tendencies and all these old experiences, and I wanted to come new. I thought it has to be new, like we have to come fresh, as innocent as first love, right? To come to another person, because only in that vulnerable state can we actually access what is truly there. Because as I said in my last video on this, like most people are not even meeting each other. They're meeting each other's wounds only. So when that occurs, there's this great divide. And the relationship might be a process of trying to build a bridge to each other. Like realizing that the authentic selves do want to connect, but there's this huge divide. And so the healing work that I do with people and help people to do within themselves is really like a reclaiming of authenticity. And depending on how much we have built up around that, that can take a minute to kind of go back through and like pluck those moments out and reclaim them, right? So let's just read one of the concepts. We'll start at the beginning. I love this subject. And I want you to say, like, I'm just getting ready for my own, like, amazing relationship that I get to fully utilize all that I've learned with someone who's, like, ready, willing, and able to show up with me. Like, that's like a pinnacle moment in my life that's still coming. Not that I haven't like been in amazing relationships and very pivotal points in my life also, but there's another layer that I haven't touched that I'm here for. So the first chapter is called Fluidity of Being. All right, here's a quote from my teacher. You are the artist creating the living work of art that is your life. And the tools that shape your environment are your attitudes. Your attitudes. Like, attitudes pretty much shape the whole thing. So whatever attitude you're coming to in a relationship, and that's why you can always tell like how someone's going to show up for you, like the way they do the first time. If a person's coming in, unless they're like continually doing their work with you, in which case, awesome, you get to both peel your stuff away in the presence of each other, and that's in my opinion, like the next layer of dropping clothes. It's super sexy, like to peel those layers of protection in front of another person. Truly divine. If you can safely do that, if you can show a face and the other person's like, yeah, cool, I still like you, then you feel like you can get more real and you can peel again. So here we go. Let's take a moment as we begin to breathe in deeply. So go ahead and do that with me. Allow thoughts to leave your mind, tuning into the stillness in your own heart and your own being. So take a moment and contact your inner stillness. It might be way in there behind wavery thoughts, but it's there. Notice your heartbeat in the stillness. Begin to imagine the center of your chest like a window through which you can see all of life. Imagine part of your consciousness is looking through this window in self to all of formed life, everywhere, not just on this earth, the cosmos, all of formed life, and that might be overwhelming, so just as much as you can feel into. And then in that still space, so it's just like a snapshot, bring into your awareness this concept, fluidity of being. Fluidity of being. Can you feel it in you, this concept, fluidity? Feel the nature of this idea. That you have your form in the fluidity of existence. Without boundaries. You are actually connected to all of life in this fluid field. For a moment, sense this and allow yourself to feel how you are interconnected with all, with everybody, with everything. You're it. It's all you. And just breathe into this vastness. Feel time and linearity disperse as you sense the limitlessness of your existence. So we dive right in, right? From this field, in this place, we begin to recognize that everyone else present on Earth, we're coming back a little bit to our form and their form, they all have the same access to this fluidity as we do. All of life is fluid and really without boundary. It's true. Energetically, we are a fluid field. In the greatest perspective and sense, we are all part of one eternal field of formlessness. And it is only in taking on density that we allow physicality to be known and experienced. From this awareness, we begin to sense all relationship is, in a way, self-relationship. Feel that one for a second. In a great sense, all relationship is self-relationship. You are another me. If you're showing up in my field, that part of me is showing up, and partially to be examined and noted. What's here? Is this something I like, I want to express more of? Is this something I'm shifting away from? What is this? In the greatest sense, if all emanates from one divine source, one fluid field existing, then all of life is both you and the manifestation of an aspect of you. Me and myself in this form, this form, this form. God in you, God in each form, right? God is everywhere in all of existence. When we come to the place where we recognize fluidity, beyond solidity of perceived form, then the illusion of the other becomes a manifestation of joy and nothing less. For how boring it would be if it was just one fluid form in existence and no one to play with. With this awareness, we come to a place of gratitude that we can see one another at all. So, when we know that we're all truthfully just fluid fields of energy. This awareness of our fluidity allows us to come to 0 point, right? The beginning. Timelessness, no yesterday. Before a time, space, and lineal expression, before problem solutions, and before the other, or you could even say after. Let's step into the zone of 0 now and move into the next phase of the equation. So the first phase is the 0 point. So it is like a clearing of the slate. It is like a zeroing out, like all your totals, right? You zero it out. All the bills have been paid, or there's debts or whatever, and we've got everything taken care of. This is going to go here, this is going to go here, so we're zeroing out. Sometimes we have to zero out of a relationship because it's just constantly like racking us up and we're not catching up and it's never going to like connect in and we're beaten down by it. That can't be zeroed out except for by stepping away. And sometimes every time you go back in, you get scrambled. So that's the universe like repelling that part of you. You learn the lesson, you got it. I mean, you know that ex that you just keep trying with. But when you go back, the same equation is there. It's weird. And so you might be very different, and they might be different. You might deal with it differently, but generally speaking, it's the same plug-in. And so if it was really good, and then you just like seem to forget it was good, and then you come back later and you're like, wait, we're really good together, that can be, you know, a thing. But if that's not the case, then every time you meet that person, you're going to have the same discordant frequency that stresses the field out, because it's just not the same soul mission. It's not the same part of unity connecting that's meant to enhance, right? That's meant to go to the next level. And that's for you to decide, right, how it feels. But this 0 point place in relationship, you know, allows you to come fresh. And again, if you've come back with someone so many times, that freshness is really hard to get to, and sometimes it can't be got to because there's so much pressing from behind that never got resolved and cleared out. And when you're with a new person, that stuff doesn't exist. So sometimes the 0 out is like literally a new relationship. Sometimes the 0 out is, you know, it's just small things. It's just stuff from your past that doesn't have to do with this person. Like those things can generally be cleared out and zeroed out. And that's a decision, again, like for each couple, for each individual in a relationship. But in divine union, in sacred relationship, that 0 point is attained by regularly self-check-in time. Like fluidly moving between self and other and back to the self, and back to the self and other and back to the self. It's like a breathing thing that you have to do. Like there has to be an equal balance of your aloneness with yourself and the bringing together of your greatness. Right? So this is a breathing and sacred relationship. And so the 0 point, like a lot of people stay in a relationship just like this, together. And some people do a relationship like this, like apart. And it's just not equal. And apart could be like you're in the same place with them, but you're thinking of something different. And you're not, and you're coming in, giving a little kiss, and you're going out, or you're having an intimate moment and you're going out, but it's not like equal. It's not an equal exchange of presence and then working on the self and expressing in the world, because you do get charged up when you're fully present together. It's a battery charge. It's masculine and feminine coming in, they're creating, like building something. And then when they go out, they're also in this, polarization away time. They are expressing that they received from being together, and they're also gaining more to bring back and like ask the relationship energy about. It's like going out in their world and they're gathering and finding within themselves the next piece, which then the relationship like breathes fire into, breathes presence and love into, and care into. So it's a very like beautiful, dynamic process that we have to bring back that zeroing out time into, or the relationship will become dysfunctional without it. So yeah, I just wanted to start there. We can explore more of it later. But each chapter takes you from one awareness to the other, and you can see how it goes. But the first 3 points are that zeroing out. And then we have a section that is like a purification process that prepares for the alchemical equation. And then we have a part that's like taking out what's not needed, right, before the putting together of the thing. So each of these elements are part of divine union, and we'll go into those more in future videos. But this ability to move to zero, I just think of it as the breath of union, honoring the apart and together. And you can kind of tell when you're in a new relationship, or you're just starting to look at a relationship, and this is, a lot of ladies feel this way. I'm calling you out, ladies. Like if the man doesn't immediately respond, we assume that the worst of this, right? But sometimes what's true, and this can go both ways, right? If there's a very strong energy together, and like there's a lot of energy moving into this feeling, this presence, the apart must be equally as strong this way. That's the balance point. That will make it even stronger when you come back together. So there comes a need to cultivate waiting, stillness, and that is part of the equation. But yeah, so I guess that's our chat today on divine union. And thank you for being here. I appreciate you being interested in this subject. I do know that this is something that the world is calling in, that we're each calling in, that the disgruntled feelings that we've had in a relationship are the impetus that create the new. And so I'm also grateful for that, because in the bigger picture, it is the catalyst for divine union to come in, and we get to be the way showers and the bridgers from one realm to another and experience both. And I think that's what a lot of us came here to do. So hallelujah. And so it is, and I'll see you next time. Check out the other content. Don't forget to catch your zodiac reading, and I do that in a very different way than other people, so check it out. All right, love you. Bye-bye.